So I think that, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be being rolled out this year, and I encourage all of you and your peers to keep an open mind, right? To listen to some students, right? I feel like if any of you ask, after this, you want to meet with a group of students from CUNY and SUNY, you have the two representatives of these institutions, of the student and government body of these institutions right here. We can hook that up. We can arrange that. Students that live in your district can talk to you about their experiences with higher education. And if that's what you want to see because you think that students aren't showing up, we're here. We took a bus to be here on Friday after Halloween. I really think that this is something that I hope that this resonates. You see the signs, stopping tuition hikes. You see the signs closing the TAP gap. You see the signs making sure that community college has base aid funding, right? You guys proved that you guys put it in the budget. Enrollment is going down. At the same time, you want to make sure that because of that, we're not paying the price. We shouldn't be penalized for those things. I feel like it's like a penalty for going to get an education.
I will keep telling my story over and over again. I am 2 weeks out of losing my baby. I was pregnant and I just had a miscarriage. I nearly died. I had 3 blood transfusions. Yet I have to come out here in the rain because it is that important to stand and represent the students from my school, the students from CUNY, to say no to these tuition hikes. It is not right. And if we don't come out and vouch and speak for these people, who will do it? Because obviously these increases keep happening and nothing is changing and it's not right.
How are we going to be able to pay $320 when our students are not being able to afford food? When they got to figure out where my next meal is coming from? When our students are homeless and they're camping out on campus trying to figure out where they need to go in order to have shelter.
That's right.
We don't have enough resources as is. And they're telling us that we have to pay $320 for what?
I've learned a lot about myself and a lot about the university and a lot about people in general. I've learned the importance of being an advocate, the importance of being a leader, and I'll take those lessons with me for the rest of my life.
USS had pushed me to come out of my comfort zone and also to fight for those who are going through pure poverty.
Being the Vice Chair for International Student Affairs was one of the best CUNY leadership experience I've ever had. It really opened my eyes to help me realize that I have not arrived and there are so many things that I have to improve on.
Right, I understand that the price has been going up. I understand in comparison to SUNY and their crumbling infrastructures, there's always that comparison that's being made. But I think that the city is serving a certain demographic of students that wouldn't be able to succeed in any other city or any other state in the world. So I think that's just something that the board should consider, and that's why I'm going to be voting no on this. And even if this amendment doesn't pass, there's a second one that's going to be coming to talk about this wellness fee. So don't think that this is done here. There's more conversation to be had. So thank you.
Being in this position helped me realize that there are so many people that are ahead of me that instead of trying to, be on their level, I should learn from them. I should get inspired by them.
I think being a leader is so important. So important to be a leader in your own life. So important to advocate for others, but to also learn how to advocate for yourself.
So usually every year at USS we have a March in March. This is a march that we do across the Brooklyn Bridge, advocating for funding for higher ed, making noise, calling on elected officials to really hear us and our concerns and our demands as CUNY students in this fight. And this year the pandemic came at an unprecedented time, right around the March for March, and we couldn't have one. And I remember thinking to myself, well, this is canceled forever. We can't really do one. Especially the high risk of people being sick, being in large gatherings and groups. But also a particular unique thing was going on in New York as well. We've seen a lot of racial justice and uproar in the streets. A lot of people were protesting against police brutality, systemic racism, and a lot of things were happening. And I'm at home, we're still in the semester, and the world outside is in chaos. I mean, things were just insane. New York City had a curfew. And I called Tim and I said, we need to have a march. I don't care how we make it happen, we need to have one. We cannot sit by and watch all these things going on and we don't march for our funding for higher education. Our fight is a part of the bigger fight, and we can't just sit out and do anything about it. So Tim was just like, all right, let's make it happen. Pulled together the team and we decided we were gonna have a march. And we planned the march, we got different stakeholders, we got different organizations to come out. And when we got there, it was, a bit raining, drowsy, cloudy skies, and we started marching. But what was so particular about this march is the amount of community organizers that were unified with us, with CUNY, in the cause and the fight for our higher education. And we started at Borough Hall and we're marching across the bridge, and we stopped at particular moments, for a moment of silence for the lives that were lost in police brutality, a moment of silence for people just to feel the energy there and to release, everything that's going on. And as we're approaching City Hall, a unique thing was going on, Occupy City Hall. And you just see tents and people who are just protesting against police brutality, systemic racism, the constant disinvestment in our marginalized communities. And you can just hear them cheering us on. You hear the pots banging, you hear people yelling CUNY. And as the students are marching across the bridge, you can literally hear the energy, organizers, the bullhorns, the cars are literally honking. And you could just feel the energy in the room. You could just feel, as you're walking across the bridge, as it's raining, people are coming to greet you, and I felt like we were walking home. They made this one big circle for us, and we just came in, we huddled in, we stopped the traffic, and we got all the students there, and the organizers came around, and they unified us. And it was so special because this was just not a cause for higher education, but I felt like this was the first time I've seen firsthand people realizing CUNY is a part of this community. CUNY is a part of New York, and that fight, that for systemic racism and injustice, is a part of CUNY's fight, and it felt like one. And it was raining, but people were singing, they were dancing, people were just expressing what does this movement mean to them, what does higher education mean to them, and what they plan on doing in the future.
My advice for my next successor in regards to filling my position, I'll say work with integrity. Being a leader with integrity and fighting for what you believe in and fighting for the people that vote for you is very important, because we need change. And for change to happen, you gotta be the change the system needs.
If there is one thing that I learned throughout this experience is own up to your truth. And don't be afraid of telling your story.